Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am back with another Game of Thrones Season 8 news video. And before we get started, I just want to issue a quick spoiler warning for everybody out there. Today's news deals with Game of Thrones Season 8 leaked plot, as well as leaked images from the set. So I encourage any of you, if you do not want to be spoiled, leave this video, because it is a guarantee that I will be providing you with spoilers for Game of Thrones Season 8. And for those of you who stuck around, let's get right into it. So in the past, I've covered a lot of Game of Thrones plot leaks and set leaks. And what we've learned so far is that it is a guarantee that Winterfell is going to be laid under siege, or it's going to be under attack. We've seen the set of Winterfell be really fleshed out. We've seen towers being built, we've seen battlements being created. And what this means is that the crew is laying down the groundwork for a huge action set piece. But what we didn't know is who's going to be the one attacking. Are we going to see Cersei with her Lannister men and the Golden Company lay siege to Winterfell? Or are we going to see the White Walkers attack Winterfell? And today we have some set leaks that seemingly answer this question. If you look at these images, they confirm a couple of things. First of all is that we're going to get a siege or an attack at night. You can see Winterfell is really well lit, and I think it will play really well cinematically. And I think the biggest connection you can draw is the episode Watchers on the Wall, where we see the wildlings run into and attack Castle Black. And secondly, I really want to draw attention to the set of Winterfell itself, as well as the environment. If you look at the set, you see a lot of wooden additions. A key example here is the top of one of the towers. And the reason that is so significant is because in previous seasons, they used to just CGI that in post-production. But now they made it a physical part of the set, which means that cast and crew are going to be interacting with these set pieces, as well as it's going to be very prominently shown in the episode itself. And this pretty much means that we're going to get a full-fledged battle sequence that takes place over all aspects of the Winterfell set. However, the one place where we are going to see CGI is where you see those red lights in the background. Those are markers that are going to be used to fill out the rest of the castle in post-production. But the reason for those markers makes it even more interesting. First of all, it's nighttime, but you can also see a lot of smoke, or steam, or whatever. And that could be multiple things. It could just simply be ambiance. It adds to the atmosphere of the scene. But it could also mean a lot more things. It could mean fire and smoke. And we can see in the scene that a lot of fire is already being used. We can see torches lighting the front towers of Winterfell. We can also see two giant balls of fire on the left side of the image. So it hints that potentially Winterfell could catch on fire, or they could be fighting with fire, etc. And then there's the obvious answer of dragon fire. We know Daenerys is heading over to Winterfell with her 2 dragons. And that only seems natural. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, we know that the Night King brings a storm, and it could mean that we're seeing the arrival of the Night King. But the most significant leaks that we get are the extras in front of the Winterfell castle. So naturally we can't clearly identify who these soldiers are, but I can wager a few guesses. If you look at their silhouettes, it looks like they're all wearing uniform armor. And they also have a key weapon being held by each soldier, whether that's a spear or a sword. And secondly, they're filming, and they have all these extras crammed together, almost as if they're in sequence. So because of these reasons, I do not think that these are whites. But these soldiers could potentially be Daenerys' Unsullied. We know that Daenerys is bringing her Unsullied and Dothraki army to Winterfell, and we know that it's going to be natural that they're going to be located in camps outside the perimeter of Winterfell. And we've also seen leaks of the Unsullied having dragon glass tipped spears on the set of Winterfell. But based on personal opinion, I think based on the way that it was shot and how the show will play out plot-wise, I think there's a lot more to this leak than the Unsullied fending off against the White Walkers. And I think I have key evidence to back me up. What I do think is that these are Cersei's soldiers, whether they're Lannister men or the Golden Company. And there was a recording that was released that backs my hunch. So this footage clearly illustrates that they were filming, and we hear all these men shouting in unison. So this clearly speaks soldiers and potentially a siege and almost a battering ram, like they were counting down as they hit the front gates of Winterfell. Now I personally was 50-50 on how Winterfell would be attacked. The first obvious assumption is that it was strictly the Night King. We know that he broke the wall down at Eastwatch, and it was only a matter of time when he would make his way to Winterfell. If this were to happen, it would be an all-out attack, and I feel like everyone in the north would be forced to flee south, pretty much falling into Cersei's lap, which is what she planned to do in Season 7.
The monsters are real. The White Walkers, the dragons, the Dothraki screamers, all the frightening stories we heard when we were young, they're all real, so be it. Let the monsters kill each other. And while they battle in the north, we take back the lands that belong to us.
And then what?
And then we rule.
And that seemed like a smart and obvious plan, especially since she has 20,000 men coming from Essos. But then there's the other side, where even in the first season of Game of Thrones, it has been foreshadowed that the Lannisters would make their way to Winterfell.
The North cannot be held. Not by an outsider, it's too big and too wild. And when the winter comes, the seven gods together couldn't save you and your royal army. A good king knows when to save his strength. And when to destroy his enemies.
I will skin him and his bastard like that wretch on their bloody sigil.
I would counsel patience, Your Grace.
Patience! Sons help murder my son. Roose Bolton is a traitor.
Stannis Baratheon is also a traitor, marching with his army on Winterfell. Let Stannis and Roose battle, seize Winterfell from whichever thief survives.
Winterfell is 1,000 miles away from here. The weather has already begun to turn.
That is why it is critical to strike soon, while the victor still licks his wounds. Surely your Uncle Kevin could muster a force.
My Uncle Kevin has all the courage of a kitchen mouse.
It was a plot point that clearly stated that you would have to be crazy to attack Winterfell. The conditions are too strong, and the lands are too big. And throughout the show, we've seen Cersei almost fall into madness as she's lost her children. And the next step of progression for her to really achieve that Mad Queen would be to send people to Winterfell, something that was conceived to be so stupid and ill-informed. And I think that would make sense because she'd be coming from a place of anger and desperation. She is a person who only has the Iron Throne and a soon-to-be-born baby. I expect in this season that she will lose her baby, and that will be the thing that pushes her even further. She will have nothing left but to kill off her enemies. She won't be fighting for anything but herself. And I think that's why it makes sense for her to attack Winterfell. Because she doesn't truly have anything left. I think in the beginning of Season 8, they're going to show Cersei's miscarriage, and it will be the catalyst that really pushes her over the edge to become that Mad Queen figure. And I think that would result in her sending her Lannister force either up the King's Road or with Euron Greyjoy to White Harbor. Lord Manderly could let her through, thinking that she's sending her force to Winterfell to actually help fight the White Walkers. And then when she arrives in Winterfell, she lays them under siege. This would be a powerful move for Cersei because I imagine in this situation, Jon Snow and Daenerys will want to evacuate all civilians from the north to either go to Dragonstone for refuge or somewhere else where they could possibly be safe from the Night King. The Night King is coming south fast. And I think this siege is going to be such a stressful time for all of our favorite characters because they're trying to evacuate all these civilians while the Night King comes south. And I think this siege could progress to a battle between the Starks and the Lannisters, but I think it's going to end with the Night King arriving and pretty much decimating everybody in Winterfell. I don't think Daenerys will be in this scene. I think she will be headed south to deal with Cersei because I think she'll hear about Cersei's betrayal from Jaime Lannister, who's currently traveling north. So I think Jon Snow is going to be alone in the north with his kingdom, and I think everyone pretty much is going to die along with it, and potentially Jon could escape on the back of Rhaegal or something of that nature. I don't want to get into too much fan fiction, but this battle is going to take place in episode 3, and it seems like Winterfell is going to fall. But that is it for me today, everybody. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think it's realistic that Cersei will attack the north? And how do you think that this attack will play out? But anyways, until next time, I'll see you guys later.